Welcome to the Lessons from the Leap podcast, where we showcase visionary entrepreneurs and leaders, sharing their incredible journeys and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the show.
Hello, and welcome to Lessons from the Leap. I'm your host, Gazanfar Mansoor. On this show, I get to sit down with entrepreneurs, founders, business leaders to talk about the bold decisions, pivotal moments, and innovative ideas that shaped their journeys. This episode is brought to you by Technology Rivers. At Technology Rivers, we bring innovation through technology and AI to solve real-world industry problems. Most of our work is in the healthcare space, where we work with health tech entrepreneurs, health tech companies, building innovative HIPAA-compliant software products. If you'd like to learn more about us, head over to technologyrivers.com and tell us more about your project. Today, we are joined by Anuj Tyagi, a site reliability engineering leader specializing in AI infrastructure with a decade of experience building and scaling cloud-native platforms. I'll let Anuj introduce himself. Anuj, welcome to the show. Tell us more about you. Tell our audience how you got to where you are today, and then we'll continue afterward.
Yeah, I'll say I have background in computer science in my studies, and then I got into systems and network from the initial work. But then after that, when I moved to US, I was doing my grad studies. Then I did my intern in content delivery space, and from there I moved to a organization where I work more with open source, and then after that, I was more into SRE domain specifically. I was working with large scale systems, as CDN is also part of it. But then around 2021, I started working with, I moved to an organization where I'm currently working. It's more into AI space. So the team was specifically, I like the stack, mostly working with Kubernetes and providing AI services to different products. So this is where I gained my interest into AI. So I've been working with specifically with AI infrastructure from 4 to 5 year, and now I'm from 1 year. It's been more with the agentic space and how the trends are moving. Everyone, go with the flow. So, yep, that's how it is.
Well, you just said everyone is going with the flow. So I have an interesting question on that. So obviously everybody's building something on AI POCs, whatever, but not many are getting to the production. In your view, why do so few make it to the production?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons is that in past you need to have a coding knowledge specifically to write some code, like building an application. And to build POC now, you can just try to, give prompts, and you can build a small experimental app. I will just say in POC, it's just to test if the idea works or not. So, but after that, if we think about the applications that are running in production, basically, when I say in production, that means we are expecting customer traffic on them, and the application is able to handle that. So for that, you need some more experience, and your prompts won't be able to help with that. Because you need to have a reliable system that your traffic, the customer experience will be similar from distributed from different location, and customer query could be different from your own test queries, and you need to make sure that your application can handle traffic spikes. And so basically, in the end, it's reliable. That's how where the site reliability engineer comes in. So are we using caching where we need to use? Are we able to handle any API timeouts are happening if LLMs today itself and there was a downtime in Anthropic Cloud APIs, but I don't know if it's resolved. But So I'm just saying the application should be able to resolve that. And if you're using, uh, high availability is there. So a lot of things in the system architecture you need to handle. So that's just not in production. It's not just about sending the query to LLM and then we can get everything done. So that's why I think if the one person said and just try to bring it to the production on small level, it can work. But if you want to move it to good amount of traffic later on, someone need to find like more experienced, specialized people, and then there's a budget involved with that, like when you're building larger systems. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and this is something we also notice in our business, obviously, a lot of misunderstanding. People are still assuming that, oh, it's like a ChatGPT or Claude, you just load the document or just query, it will give you the results. So they're using it still more like a traditional search rather than just doing it way more deeper. Focus on the foundation is the most important part. So if you don't know how the AI system works, the expectations also change. So you're giving prompts, you generate the output. Now you're expecting, then you go to AI, you're going to get the same result. It's
yeah,
not going to be the same always. So obviously there are challenges so getting to know how these things work is more important. It took a long time people to understand how really the product works. And even still, a lot of people don't know. So knowing that is most important.
yeah, I just want to say in that, yeah. So earlier when we were not I mean machine learning used to be there from past and now if LLM usage is higher and then it gives response based on probabilistic nature, but we need deterministic responses, and then that's the whole process. Different things like agentic or in RAG, what we try to do is like we want the response to be more deterministic than probabilistic. We don't want the random responses and to be like more precise. So that's why I think a lot of systems are involved within the building pipeline, doing training, testing on training sets, and like the validation metrics go through, and then it goes to the production after
Hmm.
also verifying with the test data sets. So that's why I think the things get complicated.
So while we are on the agentic, so what makes agentic AI different from a simple chatbot or RAG applications from an infrastructure point of view?
So I think agentic is so earlier we were using like LLM and then for example when like example ChatGPT came and uh, it was trained on some data set initially, like okay, it was trained 1 year back and it know all the data about it a year ago. But what if we want to do some actions more than just asking in the chat or trying to get any recent information because it doesn't have that data and it was not trained on and won't be able to give you information. And in that cases, sometimes it can give you hallucination-based data also when it doesn't have. And in other cases, it may not even have the response. It'll give you a response like, okay, I'm trained on like year till year 2025 and I don't have more data than that. With agentic, what happened now, it allows you to use external tool. So you can, for example, the web tool, if you use, it can search outside, it can get the data from outside, it can schedule your calendar appointments, or it can get the data from there and it can check your appointments or like any action if you want to do, it can do that. And uh, with that now and then MCB came and MCB, each MCB, like different organization or like for different use case, we can have MCB servers and we can create our client and we can connect it to them. And then every MCB, which is giving you like a standard to connect to agents now. And that can help us to get like each MCB can have like, multiple tools and We can use different tools, but we need to limit it to some extent because even having too many tools in agents and like too many MCP servers sometimes impacting this application performance also, what I have realized.
Oh, true. And as you mentioned, MCP, for those who are not familiar with what is MCP, MCP is a model context protocol. It's the AI, it's kind of similar to what you have Zapier or API for your regular systems. In AI, you have MCP. So you can connect with any system using MCP and then query it. So rather than just loading the data into your Claude or ChatGPT, you can use MCP to connect to any system and do the core and do the AI searches.
Yeah, I just want to add like now the advantage that it provides, like if, for example, if you want to use uh, agent from like maybe Confluence or like Jira related, and then instead of connecting with multiple agents, we can just connect to MCP, and MCP has those different tools which is acting as an agent on the background. So from our application perspective, that we as a from engineering or developers building, we don't need to connect to create different separate connections. We just can connect to one MCP of their own, and then it can perform so switch to like it can decide which tool is useful or agent is useful for that specific task.
So while we're on it, so what do you recommend? What are the cases or scenarios where teams should use self-hosting model versus querying the LLMs or hosted versions?
Yeah. So what happened? It is in some of the use case where so LLM is the journal everyone use have data which it has collected and saved from like trained over public data. So it is like I will say I think it is I think in a way like it's more smarter Wikipedia kind of a thing, and it can do some actions also now with more agentic powers on the top of that. But now we want to build maybe product specific chatbot for the customer. So for example, I think a lot of organization using that. So like if you want to create a order from maybe, for example, a restaurant, and you want to give the menu of it. So a customer may want to ask some different query, like e-commerce. Customer want to ask what is the return policy for this product and different kind of questions. So using LLM in that case may not be very helpful, and then it's better to use our internal maybe RAG application or like a small language model, which is mostly trained on your internal data only. We don't need external data for that kind of application, right? So yeah, I think that is one of the use case ideally.
So, and how do you keep the costs from exploding?
I'll say there are multiple ways. So it is becoming like in past when like 2014, 15, I think there was a boom started for cloud, and everyone from on-prem started moving to cloud, or at least like some of them, like you don't need to have your own hardware. And then, after some time, we have to manage our cloud cost where we can optimize it. And the same thing is happening now. We started moving to AI, and now we have to manage our cloud cost also, now AI cost also. Now in AI cost management is uh, that's where even the reliable systems comes in. Like in some of the use cases, if we can cache some of the responses which are more frequently, we can keep some retention of for them so that we don't need to send requests to LLM every time. Another use case is we add some guardrails. For example, in past, I've seen some of the example, like even externally, uh, the application, for example, even chatbot, I will come back to it, is fits specifically for a restaurant. Uh, but if people are asking some random question, not even related to that, and if LLM giving response based on that, then we are burning our tokens. And that should be, if we have guardrails and we will even block down those responses, that could save some cost. The other use cases, protecting from attacks also, which is happening in some cases. Like, I mean, that may not exactly, it can also help to save from cost as well, but it's also a little bit on the security side, which is more like the defense mechanism for that is also basically guardrails. And when I'm trying to say, if someone is trying to do like prompt injection and like trying to pull a lot of data, that's also can burn a lot of tokens, and that can be avoided. So yeah, I think these are some of the use cases.
Thank you. So, can you talk about the hallucination? Like, most people, as they load data, they don't get the right results, and every time the results are coming different. What are the reasons behind that?
Yeah, I think so. I have more experience in that area in terms of like recently experienced and within like RAG applications, and that's where again, I mean, it'll be combination of machine learning engineers and server engineers skills come in, uh, because when we are building an application and we were giving our own initially we'll give relevant prompts or AI messages, and then we get the response back in terms of what we expect, and everything is good till then. But then when it goes to the user may be asking random questions, maybe with some not proper sentences, and they don't go like how we expect. And then if we observe, okay, the responses are not getting as expected, but how do we observe that is the other question. And in that, for example, in RAG-based system, we have a lot of metrics which can help us to give how our application is doing. So, for example, we have some metrics in case of if so. Fun thing is uh, to improve from hallucination. How hallucination is happening? First, if I go is, for example, our model is not even trained on that data, and user is asking some of the question related to that. And in some cases, what LLM can do can give response, and actually that's not correct. Like it doesn't even exist in the data. Like it happened once in my experiences. User prompts and asking for a question, and LLM give response with full confidence. Like even there's a confidence metric that here's a URL for this, and you can follow these steps. It'll give you steps also, but actually neither the URL exists and the steps also don't exist. It's just created by itself something related to other data that it was trained on. It'll just make it up. So how we figure out that, like we can't check like, every user query, every response, it could be a little difficult. And then some of the metrics can be useful in that cases could be checking basically when we are retrieving the data, what is like some of the metrics are like context precision, how much relevant or precise data we are retrieving from our data, and like there are context recall and noise sensitivity. So these are like general metrics for in case of RAG application. And when we are like those are specific to when we are retrieving the data. The second is when we are generating the response. So in the generation response, there is like context recall or like response relevancy. Response relevancy is like how much relevant response we are giving when we are giving basically the response. Faithfulness is also the important metric when we are saying uh, if it is really depends on if it's really the fact that we are giving the response or is again just making it up. And that faithfulness, in my view, it gives you a lot of estimate if our application is hallucinating on the responses from the user query. So yeah, that I feel is some of the and the other part is if it is burning higher tokens on some of the queries than others. So we can evaluate some of those as well. And in that case, it may be possible. For example, if you're using MCP and we ask some query or action agent to do, but our MCP2 server is not able to figure out which tool is correct for that, and it might be trying to go in the loop to some extent, and if it giving hallucinated response, or maybe it will later on tell that, okay, I don't know the answer. So in these cases, also some hallucination can exist, and so yeah, checking the like response time or the token burning for responses also matter.
Yeah, you're right. The LLMs are the most confident one. They always give you the answer even if they don't know, and the answers are so confident that you feel like, okay, this is true. And there's always an answer for something, especially the ChatGPT. And it will make up the response if it doesn't know. And that's the dangerous part, because people start believing in that.
Yeah, so I recently even contributed a Grafana dashboard with a GitHub code mention on its description that allow you to give like common metrics people can monitor with that, and give you idea about what metrics can be instrumented and how to instrument it. I use like OpenTelemetry for that, which is a common tool for collecting metric logs and traces. So that is, I think, can be useful if someone want to use. On saving tokens, I would just want to add, I've realized to increase reliability and to save tokens both ways, that we were discussing about caching the frequent query responses and blocking, adding the guardrails. So in some of those cases, LLM gateway or agent gateways are very helpful as well, which allow you to do all these actions, caching, or even adding the reliability in a way to you can allow to load balance your queries to multiple models, or to add like a fallback mechanism. Like if one LLM failing, you can switch back to your query will switch back to another LLM. Like if OpenAI is down, you can use Anthropic model, or even in Anthropic itself, higher to lower, and that way you can even manage the cost as well. Where for some queries which you feel if require more mathematical or more computing, for which you can use the higher model, and for the small task we can use the cheaper model, so that can even save cost.
A couple of more questions. So you mentor so many engineers, you work with others. So based on your experience, what separates the people who successfully transition into AI from those who struggle to make that leap? Let's say, obviously, there's AI is changing everything. So the engineers used to work differently versus now. So now with AI, definitely you have to change your style of how you're coding, how you're using, leveraging AI tools. So how easy it is for those engineers to make that leap, or compare, there are ones who are not able to adapt that versus the one who are quickly able to adapt AI and being more productive, 10 times more productive? Do you see any gaps? Do you see any differences? What are those?
I think that's I'll just go with like how the technology is rapidly moving is, I will say, one way it's like difficult. One needs to either to be in the same domain, or to be working, or to need to follow up with everything, with how the trends are moving. And I will say, yeah, there's a lot of information overload nowadays, and it's not that easy to stay in touch with how the AI is progressing. I will say, just like for other skills, if one trying to like learn, in that case, it should be more like try to be more disciplined and on your skills, is what I will just say, but not to rush to learn everything in a short time. Like try to be good with one part. Like if you are starting, like someone is starting, try to learn about agents and like first go to with maybe with the foundations and try to see how this works in production, or on the large level how this application related to that can be scaled. And so the foundation for, like in some cases the machine learning foundation sometimes is also helpful. In other cases, when we are like developer perspective applications we are building, other foundations like caching, using async communication options like Kafka, or like something for queuing, all those still exist. Only with the machine learning or based feature is kind of a subset or basically a feature into that. But like for building an application, you need a front end like TypeScript or like React. Those still be needed. I mean, yeah, there some people can build some part of it with AI, but uh, one to make reliable application which can handle a number of thousands of customer requests, and which is less on risk from security attack. So for all those, one needs to have experience or to have those kind of professional application. So foundation is still there, and on the SRE side, like managing logs, it's just not sending logs, and how to trigger alerts based on that, deciding them, having your error budgets to handle, like you're not spending too much cost, and deciding what will be the guardrails, what should be our evaluation metrics for in the like dev environment, or before production.
Yep.
There are different test cases. It goes through application. It still should be there, like integration test, stress test, and I mean there are like maybe more. I just use these more. So
Yeah, no, good point. Really good insights. I think uh, in my view, it's more of a mindset change as well. I think there's AI is changing everything. So if we keep thinking the traditional way, the leap is difficult. So for all those engineers, how you do work, how you used to work, it has to change. So it's going back to the same original thing that we talked at the beginning of this podcast. The question, how do you go deeper into that? It's not about just giving a bit broader prompt that create me this application and will do it. So if that's the case, people would have the application in 5 minutes. But in order to do that, there's iterations needed. So go deeper. So it's more like a problem solving. How do you solve the problem? You start with one thing and gradually iterate into that. So that's the most important part.
yes,
So
exactly.
thanks for sharing, Anuj. So these are really good insight. Just a couple more small questions,
Yeah,
a bit. So what one AI tool or platform that you can't imagine working without?
I
Like
think I'll just say,
your
yeah, Agentic based IDs, IDs for like used for development, like and they're very helpful, where it can help you to review the code quickly, and you have some queries regarding that, you try to find out. And if there's a large code base, and that can save you a lot of time in some cases, especially in my domain, when there are at any point of time there can be a production incident on some on the application, and if I have to like narrow down like which microservice the problem is, and then where if this error is coming, there could be different error codes, although there is always documentation exists. But the documentation may give one reason could be for this error. But if I want to go through more and try to have some questions around, so AI-based ID, I think act as some kind of your assistant, and they're very helpful. I won't just name one
okay,
because I use
that's
multiple of
fine.
them sometimes, and that works with me.
They're not gonna say anything about you. Don't worry. So one last advice for our audience. Anything you want to talk about in your view, the future of AI, anything people should be doing? Can you share some nuggets before we close off this?
Yeah, I think what I like about it is now how the industry is moving to a new term with the AI harness. So, which is just not stay limited to agents or LLM. We are now looking into the broader picture about like context memory or like building reliable application, adding like observability and all that. If we are like discussing about that, that means we are talking about the whole environment, like ecosystem for the whole application, like adding guardrails, now coming loops to get your goal and making it more deterministic. With that, I think it like AI will become part of, or it's already part of our applications. But if we are now not just looking into just make AI powered application, but as in production, we are looking more towards making it, you know, focusing on the whole, all the features like context memory came in hot topic a few months back, and then it becomes normalized and I hope like it will be able to, in some cases, able to help the humanity, like in healthcare itself, like as you said, and in even like in other use cases, so that can uh, remove some kind of like fear mongering in some cases outside what's happening. What AI will do is work in the positive direction for us. So yeah, that is my expectation for future.
Cool. Thank you, Anuj. So we have been talking to Anuj Tyagi, who has shared such a valuable insights with us today. Anuj, this has been incredible discussion. You have helped us see the future of AI won't be defined by those smartest model alone, but by the infrastructural ability and engineering discipline that bring them to life. Where can people learn more about you and your work? Is there a website? Is there an email? Is there a LinkedIn? Whatever. Yeah, we will add it into our podcast notes.
Yeah, I have a dev.to blog, and I write sometimes on AWS Community Builder, and I'm also planning to start my Instagram page for sharing knowledge, but it's a little bit slow. But I also have I also write sometimes on LinkedIn, share updates related to something, and I also have a LinkedIn page, AITechNav, which is my nonprofit for mentoring people in AI and SRE or like cloud engineering domain. So that LinkedIn page is also people can follow, I will say, and it has a like a GitHub repo also with the same name. I post sometimes open source work I've been working on.
Thanks, Anuj. Thanks for being a valuable guest on Lessons from the Leap. And again, to our audience, this episode is brought to you by Technology Rivers. At Technology Rivers, we bring innovation through AI and technology to solve real-world problems. We do this in two ways. First, by helping businesses streamline and automate their operations through AI and technology. And second, by partnering with startup founders, entrepreneurs, and product owners to create innovative software products from SaaS platforms to web and mobile app. Most of our work is in the healthcare, where we work with health tech companies to build secure, HIPAA-compliant applications. If you'd like to learn more, head out to technologyrivers.com and tell us more about your project. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this amazing episode with Anuj Tyagi. Anuj, thanks.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lessons from the Leap podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll catch you next time.